So right now we're going to go through and recognize and know any particular significance 11 great people that have contributed to OSCIA to good soil management, really followed through with our mission statement. Knowing also that there's probably hundreds more that are duly represent our mission statement. And I know in several counties it got to be such a deal, they basically threw names in a hat and drew one out. So that's how many people out there that really respect what we're looking for. So I'm going to ask Allan to read the short bio. So when we start reading your bio, we'd ask you to come forward, and whoever it is, come and meet me over here and receive your award.
Okay, so we'll start with our first winner of the award, and that would be David Ainsley from St. Clair region. I'll ask you to come forward, David. Over his 25-year career as a full-time farmer, David Ainsley incorporated his sophisticated understanding of natural systems into his farming operation. And through his adoption of many conservation farm practices, he influenced the practices of many other farmers across the region. And David maintains a 25-acre woodlot in the municipality of Leamington and has undertaken a woodlot restoration near Comber. He has been described as an innovative farmer who was amongst the first in the region to adopt conservation farming techniques, such as no-till planting. And he has implemented many beneficial management practices that improve water quality and fish and wildlife habitat across all of his farms. Let's give David a big hand. And now I'd like to invite the representative from Thames Valley Region, Nick Stockman, to come forward, also to be recognized. Nick has been a very active member of Middlesex Soil and Crop Improvement Association since 1986. Nick has been the operator-manager of the Middlesex Soil and Crop Improvement Association demonstration farm since 1987, and he has worked very closely with the Ontario Ministry of Agriculture and Food crop technology team for field skill trials of every sort. He reports to MSCIA directors and in discussion with OMAF crop technology, chooses projects for the farm. He has an excellent custom operator who works around schedules and plot requirements. Projects include installations of piezometers for nitrate testing of groundwater, liquid manure injected into standing corn, green bin compost application, soil doctor, and nutrient management training. Nick is a weather data collector for the Middlesex Soil and Crop and also a weather data collector for Environment Canada. Nick is known for his many vignettes of wisdom. For example, if you see a turtle up on a fence post, he probably didn't get there by himself. Or, if your head is in the oven and your feet are in the freezer, on average you're okay. Let's give a big hand to Nick. Our next award goes to the Heartland Region winner, and that would be John C. Benham. Would you please come forward, John? John Benham is nominated for his outstanding leadership in industry, extension, and program delivery in the area of agri-environmental programs and related issues. After graduating with a BSc in agriculture in 1951, he became a full-time dairy farmer in Eramosa Township. John has worked tirelessly on various aspects of environmental issues concerning agriculture for over 50 years. Over the past few decades, his contributions have influenced and guided provincial programs such as the Environmental Farm Plan, the Best Management Practices publications, cost share, agri-environmental programs such as Land Stewardship 1 and 2, and Growing Forward. John currently serves as weed inspector and tree cutting bylaw officer for the County of Wellington. In 1974, John received the OAC Centennial Medal as one of 100 of Ontario's most important contributors to agriculture. John was inducted into the Agriculture Hall of Fame in 2011. Let's give John a big hand. And now Sydney Rozell from the Georgian Central Region. Would you please come forward to receive your award? Sid was born on a 150-acre cash crop farm in the northern part of the Netherlands in 1931. In February 1951, he immigrated to Canada and worked on a number of different farms in southern Ontario. After getting married to his wife Tony in 1953, he moved to Toronto and worked for Canada Packers for 9 years. In the spring of 1962, Sid and Tony bought 3 farms of 420 acres near Orangeville and started raising cattle and hogs. He joined Dufferin Soil and Crop in the mid-60s and has been an active member for nearly 50 years. He has been a local director for many years and also was a provincial director from 1996 to 2006. Over the years, Sid has also been involved in many local farm organizations like the Beef Producers, Pork Producers, and Christian Farmers Federation, where he served as provincial director for 3 terms. He also served on Amaranth Municipal Council for 14 years and Deputy Reeve of Dufferin County for 6 of those years. Sid now cash crops 1,100 acres with his son Peter. Let's give Sid a big hand. And from Golden Horseshoe, we have Jim Youngblood. And someone would please accept Jim's award on his behalf. Now, Jim Youngblood has a very diversified and extensive agricultural background. He grew up on a dairy farm in the city of Thorold. He immediately became involved in the Niagara 4-H Club, and during this time, at a young age, Jim began his journey with the OSCIA. Jim's home farm has also evolved over time to keep pace with soil conservation practices. He implemented one of the first grass waterways with a stream running through the farm. Jim has continually practiced no-till and is avid at soil testing. Eventually, Jim became a popular equipment salesman at Red Track International, where he was sought out for his technical expertise and farming background. At Red Track, he continued to support OSCIA efforts by donating equipment for Niagara South tillage demonstrations and sponsoring several soil and crop events in his region. Jim has provided tireless dedication and enthusiasm for 49 years at both the local and the provincial levels. Jim has been an active member of the Niagara South Local Association, serving in all capacities on the board of directors. He has always been recognized by his peers as someone who embodies the spirit and strategic directives of soil and crop. Jim is a shining example to the youth in agriculture on how one can help grow the industry at the grassroots level. Besides serving in leadership roles in his local association, Jim proudly served as president of OSCIA in 1990. Jim has also given much to his community as a volunteer firefighter for 45 years and as a coach and trainer for minor hockey. Let's recognize Jim with a big round of applause. I'd like to invite John Kinghorn to come forward to receive his award on behalf of the East Central Region. And John spent the first half of his working life as a valued employee of General Motors of Canada, retiring from his career at GM as a manager of the truck plant in Oshawa, but his roots were always in agriculture. John is a passionate promoter and overseer of many projects for the East Central Soil and Crop, such as the Switchgrass Project, the Alfalfa Yield and Quality Project, and any project connected in any way to agriculture or the environment. On his own farm, he is known as a cattleman who practices good soil conservation strategies, such as spreading red clover to improve pastures, installation of solar-powered watering systems to keep cattle away from sensitive wetland areas, and to use the use of a power seeder to reseed pastures with less soil disturbance. He willingly hosts car tours of his farm and of the area. John was a provincial director from 2003 to 2008, chair of the peer review committee for the Environmental Farm Plan, currently chair of the East Central Soil and Crop, and secretary of the steering committee for the East Central Farm Show in Lindsay. John has been recognized by the Carden Nature Festival for his outstanding work as environmental steward, where he has pastured cattle on the Carden Plain for many years. John still plays old-timers hockey. Let's give a big round of applause to John Kinghorn. And next, we'd like to invite Eric Kiser to come forward and represent Quinte Region and receive his award. Eric graduated from Royal Military College in 1962 with a degree in civil engineering. While this is not related to agriculture, the soils, geology, chemistry, and physics learned all contribute to Eric's farming evolutions. Also, with the foundations of science, Eric approached farming with a need to learn, problem solve, and advance. Eric returned to the family farm in 1966. Eric has always approached farming with a fairly simple approach: find what works for you and share the knowledge with others. This idea is core to OSCIA values. Every year you will see several plots on Eric's farm exploring ideas from plant populations to hybrid varieties to crop protection strategies and products. And when the results are in hand, Eric is always quick to share with other farmers and OMAF and MRA personnel alike. Eric has advanced his knowledge and understanding by attending many conferences, reading extensively, and joining many farm organizations. Eric was active in the Lennox and Addington Soil and Crop as an executive member through the 80s and 90s, participating on the board of the Innovative Farmers Association of Ontario, and contributed greatly as a board member of the Egg Farmers of Ontario. When it comes to managing the heavy Napanee clay soils, Eric has developed a recipe of success, and Eric willingly shares his experiences with others. Let's have a big round of applause for Eric. Our next award goes to the Eastern Valley Region Representative, Martin Schnackenburger. Would you please come up to accept your award? After immigrating to Canada, Martin and his wife Evelyn settled near Morrisburg and went on to establish one of the highest producing Jersey herds. But crops were also a passion for Martin, and he was one of the driving forces behind the development of the Ontario Corn Producers Association during the 1970s, where he served as treasurer and vice president. His leadership abilities resulted in being president of the Dundas Cattlemen's Association, president of the Dundas Federation of Agriculture, president of the Dundas Soil and Crop. He was one of the first in the area to plant soybeans no-till and has won conservation awards for planting trees along roads and buffers along ditches. He was recognized as Dundas Farmer of the Year in 1967, Eastern Ontario SCIA Award of Merit in 1985, and received the Bicentennial Certificate of Merit from OMAF and MRA in 1984. He also served on numerous provincial boards, including chair of the OFER Appeal Board and the FIAP Board. Martin continued to be very active in his community and active at the farm, visiting daily to oversee operations. A big hand for Martin Schnackenburger, please. I'd now like to invite John Posthumous from Ottawa-Rideau Region to come forward. John Posthumous was born in 1924 in Horst-Thurweg, Friesland. He thought he was destined to be a European farmer, but the Second World War changed many things. After the liberation of Holland, he worked on construction long enough to afford a plane ticket, and he immigrated to Canada with the first wave of Dutch farmers. Led by his passion for the land and for the sea, John settled on Wolfe Island, starting with 2 horses, 6 cows, and a rundown farm. His tireless work ethic and persistence resulted in the investment in new technology and herd improvement through the first DHI milk testing to Wolfe Island. On the cropping side, he was a strong proponent of field and municipal drainage, working with Kemptville College on the cost-effective solutions. He served on various commodity boards, cooperatives, advisory boards, and land stewardship councils. Although he retired from the directorships of the Ottawa Valley Seed Growers Association and the Kingston and District Agricultural Society in 2012, in his 88th year, he still continues to take part in the Wolf Island plowing matches and provides his judging savvy to neighboring counties for their hay and seed shows. And John also takes time during the summer months to staff the Wolf Island Tourism Kiosk and the Wolf Island Historical Society Museum. Let's recognize John for this award. Our Northeastern Ontario region winner was John Rozell, and I would like someone to come up to receive his award on John's behalf. And John was born and raised in Kitchener. His friends questioned why a city kid would attend an agricultural university, and his reason was simple. People have to eat, so it seemed like a secure career move. He graduated from Guelph in 1977, majoring in soil science, and again with a master's degree in 1980. He moved to New Liskeard in 1979 to take a contract teaching job at New Liskeard College of Agriculture. John's research pursuits were mostly in the area of soil fertility. However, it grew to include cultivar evaluation and agronomic practices for most of the crops grown in the north. Diversification of the crops grown was always a priority and led to projects on such things as hybrid poplar and miscanthus. As head of the northern stations for the University of Guelph, John had the privilege of working with farmers and the local soil and crop improvement associations all across the north. John retired in February of 2013 and now serves as vice chair of the hospital board and treasurer of South Temiskaming Community Futures Development Corporation. A big hand for John Rozell, please. I'd now like to invite Bruce Forrest to come forward to accept his award as a representative of the Northwestern region. Bruce has been active in many areas of agricultural life in the Thunder Bay District. As one of the leaders in the community, Bruce has been instrumental in organizing the Harvest Ball and the Thunder Bay Spring Farm Conference, which brings in many interested parties, speakers and exhibitors to talk about improving management of soil, water, air, and crops. He spearheads the Thunder Bay Agricultural Research Association as president, which investigates responsible cropping systems in northern climate of the boreal forest region. Bruce Forrest has been constantly improving his own farm since he has joined the family farm when it was still a dairy operation. Now it's a beef farm, and Bruce is incorporating rotational grazing and other environmentally sustainable measures. Bruce has been secretary of the Thunder Bay Soil and Crop Improvement Association for the majority of his 30-year membership. He continues to be a key player in the Northwest Soil and Crop Regional Association, the Thunder Bay Cattlemen's Association, and the Thunder Bay Federation of Agriculture. Without Bruce, it's safe to say that many of the agricultural initiatives in the Thunder Bay area would not happen. A big hand for Bruce Forrest, please.